What is up, Reds? I'm Liam, your mailman, delivering the Liverpool analysis that goes deeper, whether it's data, the tactics, the storylines. You're in the right place, so let's dive in. On today's agenda, I want to talk about a few things as I get my control panel out the way. All right, so it's actually not even Friday anymore. I've been working on this for way too long. It has spilled into Saturday morning. But regardless, it's a Friday Focus episode. Let's dig in. Is this a bit of a preview of what post-Salah era is going to look like? We know that Salah's gone to AFCON before. We've always known that he's coming back, even in the midst of contract negotiations, all that drama, but it's a little different now. Is he going to leave in the summer? Is the relationship with Arne Slot going to be fully repaired by the time he gets back? Is or someone else going to step up and really solidify themselves as the future of that right wing? Who knows? On the agenda today, we're talking about the preview between Liverpool and Tottenham in this Carabao Cup match. And both teams have been experiencing their own fair share of crises, but we're going to try to cover all that and more. Head to head, last year, Liverpool scored 15 goals against Tottenham over the course of 3 matches. And we've got 4 out of 6 wins at Tottenham Spurs Stadium, and I think one of them was at Tottenham. The infamous Luis Diaz not offside goal, which actually I think really cost us the season. That could have been the moment. I think that was perhaps the moment that cost us the season. But we're going to talk about Arne Slot's press conference today, some of the Mailman media metrics, the injury crisis we're in the midst of right now, and I think we're in crisis mode. Let me know. Do you think we're in crisis mode? Is our bench deep enough? Are players coming in healthy as others are dropping? I'm curious. I'm panicking a little bit, but that just might be my anxiety creeping up. Talk a little bit about life without Mo Salah at Liverpool. Again, he's gone to AFCON, but this is perhaps a little different. I don't know if everyone feels the same, but it does for me. Some of the lineups the lineup that I think either manager is going to draw up for tomorrow, and what that means for tactics and analysis, and how I think Liverpool needs to play to get the win, as well as how I believe that Thomas Frank will have his guys attacking for at Tottenham. And is Thomas Frank under pressure? We talked Slot's been on the hot seat, but so is Thomas Frank a little bit. He's not been able to continue the success that he had at the start of the season. But again, is that his fault completely? I don't know. And then what is the prediction for the outcome tomorrow? I'll give you a hint, it's not a clean sheet. Let me know if you think there's going to be a clean sheet. Take a second, put your score prediction into the chat, into the comments. Something. I want to know if my take is along the same lines of everyone else's, or if I'm in La La Land. So I'm not going to show you that yet. Okay, the slot presser. He had some pretty interesting points at that. He started off talking about Mo Salah and kind of the drama that they've had over the past couple weeks, him being benched and then coming back on. He said that actions speak louder than words, and him bringing on Mo Salah after Joe Gomez had to leave early from injury, thought that those actions spoke a lot louder than the words could. And I agree with that in a sense. He could have been petty. He could have tried to say, oh, I'm going to flex my managerial power, keep Mo on the bench until I think he's ready. But no, he said, Mo's got the respect. He means a lot to this club. He means a lot to the players. He means a lot to the manager. He helped him win the league last year, and that cannot be overlooked. But now he's going off to play with Egypt for AFCON, and that is a heavy weight to carry. He is the talisman of that country when it comes to football, and AFCON is so important for determining which African team gets to go to the World Cup. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. I might be off. I just remember him, Sadio Mane, And all the tension that was coming up as those two players were leading their countries to qualify for the World Cup a couple years ago. And the point was brought up whether Mo is where's his focus, where's his concentration, and I think Arne Slot gave a pretty good slash neutral answer. It's his country. That's a lot of pressure and weight to bear. He has to have that focus. He has to be invested. And when he comes back, then he'll be focused on Liverpool. Mo's a pro. I don't think he tends to think too much ahead of the next match and how he's going to play and what he wants to do. Has he always been right? Has he always been on top of his game? Not lately. This next point I thought was interesting. He talked about Curtis Jones saying that he did really well in the last couple of games. He said it's not the first time, but maybe since Arne Slot believes he's been here, that Curtis has been this consistent. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Curtis Jones has been really consistent, although he hasn't been utilized in the same way that he has these past couple matches, and that is an Arne Slot thing. I don't think that's a Curtis Jones thing. Let me know if I'm off base. Has Curtis Jones not been very consistent? Has he? Why? Why not? I believe it's more of a tactical perspective that Arne Slot is just seeing. Um, yeah, let me know. When he talked about set pieces, he said that most of the losses that they've suffered, set pieces have conceded goals, which obviously getting goals scored against you leads to potential losses, but it's also the mentality of having been so good at defending the set pieces last year and then just falling completely off the edge of the earth and opening like a leaky, like not just a leaky faucet, but a, a blown faucet that can't be shut off no matter what. And that does something to guys mentally, and we saw it. So he said that that's not going to be as much of an issue moving forward. I'll believe it when I see it, but I like the confidence. And Dom Sabasly, perhaps our MVP so far, and I have a sneaky MVP number two. I don't know if people will agree, but he is a doubt for the match. During his press conference, he said it depends on how Dom feels during, after training, and then before the match. He rolled his ankle kind of nasty last match, but he's been the heart, hustle, muscle of the team. And if we don't have him out there, it's definitely going to hurt. But I believe we have enough hunger on the team where someone will be able to step up and try to carry that weight, and hope the other players can as well. Because when he's not on the pitch, you know it. In terms of Cody Gakpo's injury, his update, so apparently he had a scan that showed more progress than they were anticipating. So he's not going to come back next match or the match after, but there could be a chance that he comes back for whatever that third match is. I haven't looked that far ahead. So some of the key takeaways from this press conference, I thought that Arne Slot was getting a little defensive during the losing streak, talking about stuff like, oh, they didn't actually have big chances. These weren't real chances. Blah blah blah. I was like, no, other team opponents were having chances. They were taking advantage of them. They were losing. That's that. But he's kind of gone back into like a more neutral, calm, composed state, knowing when to keep talking about players or drama like AFCON and Salah, and the tension between them, being able to critically uh, discuss Curtis Jones and his role, um, admitting failures like set piece goal concessions, and also showing a little bit of confidence that can change. Dominic Szoboszlai, his availability, and then the Gakpo scan has a bit of progress. Those are, I think, the main takeaways. All right. Our Mailman Media Metrics. So the slot intensity index, in case you're not aware, this is the Mailman Media proprietary index that assesses how well or intensely is Liverpool implementing the vision, the culture, the strategy, the tactics, the energy that Arne Slot is intending. And we saw that at full force 100% last year. And we've seen it very poor and low intensity this year. And I think we're kind of near that 80% mark where it's, B minus, room for improvement, but it's getting better. And why do I think that? So we're on a 5-game unbeaten run. That's the best form that we've had since September. This 2-0 match against Brighton was a breath of fresh air. I've been puckered up for the past couple weeks watching Liverpool, and this was all right. Get relaxed just a little bit. Curtis Jones hitting his some of his best form, but also being a reliable piece for Slot to implement his tactics. We'll talk about that a little bit too, the way he's been able to kind of drop between the center back and the left back to progress the ball while also being part of the double pivot with Ryan Gravenberch at the back. And but we know that there are still issues: defense, conceding goals on set pieces, consistency, hustle. Those are all things that need to be addressed and are holding back that intensity number from getting higher. Next is the squad depth index. All right. So are we in crisis mode, or are we comfortable and we're good? We're chilling. We're solid. I think we're at about a 61.2 in terms of the squad depth index. We've got 7 players from the first team out. If we have 1 or 2 more injuries, I think we're going to be in pretty big trouble. Salah's at AFCON. Gomez and Gakpo are both out with muscle injuries, and those could be 2 weeks. Those could be 4 months. I feel like with football, you can never really tell, since it's such a it's such a dynamic game where any little tweak can hinder your entire performance. So we'll see. Good news though, Jeremy Frimpong is available after completing his first couple full sessions in a long time. His last game was against Frankfurt. So really glad to see him back. I think he's just a great energy. He's a hustle and heart player, and he can actually give us a little bit more on that right wing than I think we realize, especially as an offensive overlapping player. But I don't want to get ahead. And then the last, all right, this is a new one. This is the Post-Salah Era Index. How well are we adapting to not having Mo Salah basically be the Mo Salah that we've come to love and rely on? It's not necessarily a bad thing. Every player has to move on, but Mo Salah, he's a big part of this club and what it means to watch Liverpool and enjoy Liverpool, especially during these past 10 years or so. Yeah, so it's not necessarily a happy era, but it's necessary to think ahead. He's 33, and eventually he's going to have to move on, and we have to know what that looks like. So, right about a 72.8. We saw the way the squad adapted and reacted without Mo Salah against Brighton. We'll really see how they adapt and react, knowing that Mo Salah is not going to be there for a few matches. Without Salah, we're about a 0.8 expected goals per match. I believe for the season we're 1.63. Tottenham's at about a 1.24. So we still have the advantage there overall. But not having Salah there really brings us down, although he hasn't been super high in goal or assist output. And again, so if Egypt reaches the finals of the AFCON, that's potentially 8 matches that he'll miss, and it won't be coming back till January. Some key matches that we're not going to have Salah for: Tottenham, Wolves, Leeds, and Arsenal. On to the injuries. Again, we talked about 7 first-team players not being available for the match. Mo Salah, not through injury, but through AFCON. Joe Gomez with his muscle injury came off, I think it was the 26th minute against Brighton. Cody Gakpo, muscle injury as well. But the scan that he had potentially puts him ahead of schedule, which is good to hear. Wataru Angle Wataru Endo with his ankle injury. Poor dude, Giovanni Leone with that ACL injury. We know he's not coming back this season, but yeah, don't want to forget he's there. Dominic Szoboszlai, I don't know if it's officially announced yet whether or not he's going to be available for the match. Hoping so, but also don't really want to push it too hard, especially for a Carabao Cup match. Want to stay in the competition. I think it's great for developing second and third uh, tier players, and it's a competition you want to win, but it can also be used as a development opportunity. So don't want to push him back too early, but also don't we need him. We need him. Jeremy Frimpong back after missing I don't know how many matches, but Connor Bradley after being suspended, he's back as well. A couple of the impacts that the injuries and the returns have. We don't know if we have a natural right winger. Chiesa should be able to step up into that role, and I hope he earns Arne Slot's trust. I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes where Arne Slot does not want to use him consistently. And the injuries obviously keep players missing. All right, some things to think about post Salah. So 277 Premier League contributions, and he just beat out Wayne Rooney last with that last match. Wayne Rooney, I believe, has 276. Yeah, right there. Now, people have been saying, oh, we're using a 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-3-2-1 diamond variant. I think it's actually more of a 4-2-3-1 base that transforms into a 4-4-2 diamond in the attacking third, and we'll talk about that a little later. So, how are we going to um, really occupy that left side of the field? And the 4-4-2 diamond kind of gives us it hides the fact that we don't have a strong left side, especially if Milos Kerkez is struggling on defense. But yeah, that left side's a little iffy for us. Starting 11 we're predicting, so Allison in keeper, Raheem Konate along with Van Dijk. Got Bradley on the right side, Robertson on the left side, who has been, I think, phenomenal for us, despite questions there being about his age and is this his time at Liverpool coming to an end? And I think it proves that one, he can still play, but two, he's still needed, and that should not be overlooked. We've got Ryan Gravenberch as well as Curtis Jones holding down the fort in the back, along with Alexis McAllister in that central mid area, that left attacking mid, left winger with Wirtz, Szoboszlai on that right side, center attacking mid, right side of Ekitike, and then Ekitike speaks for itself. Kwanzaa is not back. I don't know why I put that there. Anyways, so we'll talk about that. All right, let's talk about the tactical analysis. Again, let's look at the formation really quick. So here we are, which I think is kind of our base set with this 4-2-3-1, the way we see Jones and Gravenberch lying in these kind of center defensive mid areas, and then we'll have Wirtz occupying this space up here as Kerkez moves up, and then Jones will often take up this space right here and help progress the ball, while maybe Maka will drop here, Wirtz will drop here, Ekitike, and they'll kind of just do this little triangular dance and progress the ball that way. But one thing you'll notice is you'll always see one of these two guys stay back. All right. So if Jones is still back here, Gravenberch decides to push the ball up, you always see Jones, one of the two, stay back. All right. And this has been, I believe, Jones's biggest contribution is his ability to drop into this little space right here and progress the ball. Because what happens is, say we got Ekitike here. We got Maka in that central role, center area. All right, let me move me out the way. Okay, so what we've seen is kind of these fullbacks being pushed up around that halfway point. Have these guys here, and this is not supposed to say left wing. I'll fix that. Don't worry. All right, but when you've got these guys pushing up here, and if they have to choose between pressing center back or Jones, all right, then it leaves. Okay, that's the wrong side. Right, it leaves these spaces here open, right, to either from Wirtz to get it to the defensive mid and Ryan, or to McAllister, or Ekitike coming in and exploiting this space, or Wirtz receiving it up here while these guys shift around, all right, and just make it hard for this center area. And watching Tottenham against Nottingham, they were not good at defending this the center of the pitch. Their center mids were often not very balanced and were easily beaten with one or two passes, allowing Nottingham to get the ball up the field pretty quickly. That'll be part of what I think is going to be important for Liverpool to exploit. Archie Gray, I don't know if he's going to start after his last performance. We might have Palhinha in his space to give them a little bit more defensive stability, but we'll see. We shall see.